Welcome to another edition of Courtroom of Public Opinion. My name is Ramon Roan. I am your host. Normally, John Singletary would be accompanying me on Courtroom of Public Opinion, but this is a special occasion. This is being brought to you by Judicial Freedom Writers Incorporated. You can find us on the web at www.jfrinc.org. We are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to reform our justice system. We need your help. So please subscribe to this channel. You should see a subscription link here showing up on the screen. Okay? Are you ready? Set? Subscribe. Now, the title of this video is called Healthcare Workers United. Now, this is Healthcare Workers United is an organization locally here in Charleston, South Carolina. And what happened was that you have black and white and Latino and the healthcare workers that are working at the Medical University of South Carolina, or MUSC, for now MUSC. And they weren't treated fairly. In fact, a young woman by the name of Christine, she's a nurse. And Christine was done wrong, people. So Christine asked her supervisor a question. And based upon that question that she asked her supervisor, which related to the job, her supervisor called it insubordination. And Christine, after 19 years of employment, Christine was terminated. So Christine wasn't the only one that was going through that kind of issue. But here is, after 19 years of continuous service at MUSC, she's terminated. So what she did, they formed this organization called Healthcare Workers United. Now, I may be incorrect on the name, but Healthcare Workers United. Now, with what they did was that what they started to do was to fight management, fight the management at MUSC. And MUSC has been giving them the runaround. They would protest in these silent protests at the board meetings, which is open to the public. And then they were told they can't come anymore. Supposedly, I thought it was open to the public, can't come anymore. But nonetheless, John Singletary and Judicial Freedom Writers, myself, they had asked us to come to their meetings. So we met with them. They can meet every Thursday. And so without further ado, John and I were giving them a strategy how they can get the justice that they need. Now, I would like you guys to hear our strategy, and then I'll come back and close us out. Ready, set, and action.
Is a little more radical than what traditionally happens, in that we try to attack the problem by first negotiating with them, and if that does not work, we don't allow them to put us as a hamster on the wheel. No cat and mouse game. So what we do is we take a look at the things that make a difference by affecting the finances. I think you all talked earlier about the fact that on 2 occasions there was a report done, and while that report was done, the end result was that there was some nonconformances. Well, on 2 occasions it's still happening, nothing's been done. It's a pattern in practice that has already been established, and so at that point now the Department of Justice needs to get involved. Why? Because the pattern of practice being established says that it's a systemic problem, and something larger than the institution needs to get involved. And so I'm going to I didn't bring to be able to show it up on the screen, but this has nothing to do with party, has nothing to do with race. This simply has to do with results and making sure that justice is served. So it's results driven. The whole thing centers around sticking together, so it requires that everyone stayed together because there's strength in numbers. And so one of the things that we take a look at is victory always is possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. The second you stop, the possibility of victory is over. The next two we'll get to at the bottom. The issue is not that they're not hearing you, because they hear you when you talk. The issue is not that they don't understand. They understand you, and they understand their rules better than most of us do. The issue is that there's a manifest disregard of the law. Now, just a funny term for saying that they understand and they don't care. They simply don't care. Why? Because the bottom line is more important to them than denying you your rights, denying you due process, denying you equal protection of the law. And so you have to kind of look at it as it is, that they just don't care. In pockets, what happens is, they deny our due process. And individually, as small groups, it's very difficult to get any headway. Why? Because ultimately, they change the rules. Mm-hmm. Even when you get the back
That's
against
right.
the wall, they'll change the rules. They'll tell you a blatant untruth. And when you catch them, I didn't understand your question. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of ploys that they have, delay tactics. The end result is that you never get justice. And so it requires that we as a group get together, whether that's 10 groups, 15 groups, that you have enough people to affect them financially, because that's what brings them to the table.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, how you doing? So we center on the attack. And the reason why we center on the attack is simple. When we take a look at invincibility lies in defense. If you can continue forever, then you're invincible. But victory lies in the attack. So if you want to get to the end, if you want to be victorious in whatever it is you're fighting, then at some point you have to go on the attack. And so that's why we take a look at the attack. Federal funds. They get federal funds. Mm-hmm. And when they are issued federal funds, what happens is the grantor, the person granting them their funds, they actually, with that organization, say that they're not going to discriminate in the use of those federal funds. Otherwise, the federal government is supporting discrimination. Mm-hmm. Whether it's racial discrimination, whether it's sex discrimination, disability, it's a disparity in treatment. That is a discriminatory practice that is unlawful. And so we have to attack the federal funds, and the way we do that is we go to the granting organization. You can find out they will have a federal funding report that lists all the federal funds that they receive. And you go to the granting organization, and that's where you complain, because they are obligated to then do an investigation. If the investigation comes out that they're nonconformances, they try and work with them. If they refuse to, then they're obligated to cut that funding. And so that hits them in the pocket. The next thing we look at is collaboration, what we call a collaboration lawsuit. It's different than a class action in that with a class action lawsuit, what happens is we get a group of people, they get an attorney, there's two attorneys on both sides, billable hours run up, and the end result is that the two attorneys make money even after 15 years. If there's a huge payout, everybody gets $500 for 15 years. That does not seem fair, and it's not. But that's the way that game is played. A collaboration lawsuit is a different concept, something that we developed, and what it does is it allows a group of people to take the concept that they use, their strength, and turn it around and use it against them. And so that is why it is important to understand that the power of a collaboration lawsuit allows you to have a tool that you can use that's powerful, so you can get off of the hamster wheel and you can start dealing with the real issues and make them deal with the issues. Because otherwise, it'll go round and round and round for years and never end. And with the collaboration lawsuit, this is what happens. There's an issue that is a federal issue. everyone through what they call benefit opportunity. If they're getting federal funds and you stand to benefit from them, you now have an opportunity to benefit, and so then you have a right to grievance. And so that's why you can call and tell them that, hey, listen, they're using the funds incorrectly. There's a disparity in the way they're using them based on the contract. So then they have to investigate. We take a look at those individual lawsuits, and with those individual lawsuits that you file in federal court, not state court. Why? Because in federal court, you make sure that you have a good cause of action. But in the federal court system, the process is more friendly to you. Now, there's some rules that you have to go by, and so whether as a group you hire one attorney as a consultant, or you get together and you study the law and you learn it yourself, it's not that hard. They're not going to give you justice in the court system, so that's something that you just have to realize. But the beauty of it is that you don't have to get justice by the judge to win. The fact that you're able to file it, the fact that you're able to continue it, means that you can eat money up from them. If one of us tried to sue them, they could in a year's time make you spend more money than you can make in a lifetime, and they drown you. But as a group, you can make them more, spend more than they can gain in a year, and as a result, they now are facing bankruptcy. So that's the whole idea with the collaboration lawsuit, is we take the strength of the numbers, and it is the possibility of them going out of business that drives them to the table, and now we're able to talk sensible in terms of what is fair and what is just. The internet exposure is one way that you can actually get your word out. Judicial complaints, you can file judicial complaints. When the judges aren't doing what they're supposed to, you can go to the Merit Selection Committee, you can do the Judicial Conduct Committee. There's a lot of things that you can actually do. And the Judicial Conference of the United States, all the way up to the Supreme Court. And then with community education, you educate the community as to not only are these your rights, but here are the laws that even the judges are supposed to go by. Because oftentimes we go into court, we know the law in terms of, we've studied some, what we're supposed to do, what the other side's supposed to do. But how about the judge? What happens when the judge issues a summary judgment and he's abused his authority? He didn't even have the authority to do it. I've seen where attorneys have had meetings with judges without filing a lawsuit. The judge doesn't even have jurisdiction, because there's no lawsuit that conveys the jurisdiction to him. But if you don't know that, then you're more apt to go and comply with whatever they tell you to do. And so we have to continually educate ourselves.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
With
the summary judgment.
The summary judgment.
And I'm back. Now, what John was explaining here, as you can get, I was a cameraman, so I wasn't in the shot. But what John was explaining is that you must fight the discrimination or wrongful termination. You must fight it in two different ways. There's social, and then there's judicial. Now, the judicial way of active, we call it judicial activism. What that is that we file courts. You file, if you say you took 100 people and you took 100 pro se people, that's people representing themselves, and you file a federal lawsuit. And what happens is that company, be it Nucor Steel, be it MUSC, be it Boeing, whatever the company is, they have to seek representation for everyone who filed separately. Because this is not a class action. This is a cohesive group that said, hey, we're all going to file individual claims, a cause of action, which you'll have a legitimate cause of action. Now, what that does, is that it will tie up the whatever company is in legal fees. Now, they'll really deal with having your issue, or would they rather deal with paying the legal fees? And legal fees can amass into millions and millions of dollars. So would they rather listen to you and address your complaint, or would they rather continue to pay lawyers millions and millions of dollars? Meanwhile, it doesn't cost you anything but maybe $1,000, $500 to $1,000 of filing these your case. Well, they will more likely lose more money than you will lose more money. So what John was explaining here is this is a strategy that can work if we band together. Key word, if we band together. This has been another edition of Courtroom of Public Opinion. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and please like our video, share our video, and become a member. Membership at Judicial Freedom Rights at www.jfrinc. It only costs $36 per year. That's an insignificant amount of money. Maybe a lot of money nowadays because of the economy. But again, thank you again for tuning in to Courtroom of Public Opinion.